So today I was analyzing data. I'm at a moment in time where I need to do some analytical work. Actually, what I'm doing is combining different data sets, and I analyze FDA mod data. This is adverse event data that people report to the FDA for medical devices, and the data set I would say it's pretty big in terms of the standards of what most people work with in our field. It's small in the sense of, like, if somebody works at Google and they're looking at terabytes and things like that of data. What I'm looking at is when I combine all the data sets, it's pretty large. So one data I'm working with right now is 13 million observations, and so characters across. It's a big text file, and there's characters in there. I would say there's at least 1 billion characters that are in this text file. And when I am looking at it, I've got a problem with this text file, in that there is one little letter that's off in the text file, and I'm literally looking for I'm literally looking to find a needle in the haystack, and it is pretty spectacular that I'm able to sort of find anything. There's just a couple so I've got this 13 million records, over 13 million records, and there's just a couple records that are just off. And usually when that happens, it's from somebody from another country, and they sort of have just different ways of doing things in the other country, and it sort of throws things off in the text file, because they might have a weird character or something like that they type in that makes it hard to read in a text file. And it's just sort of, I'm marveling. I just was contemplating this of, like, holy crap, that's 1 billion text characters. That's pretty amazing that I'm able to find that. But then, it sort of gives you an understanding or an appreciation of, the problems with these larger data sets like this, that trying to find a little thing in 13 million observations is pretty challenging, to say the least. I would say I'm at this point where I'm an expert at doing this kind of stuff, and yet it's still really incredibly hard to find these kind of things. I've spent enough time on these data sets. I've spent enough time on large data sets, particularly with the mod data sets. I know it pretty well. So it's just a challenge is what I'm pointing out. And, I don't know how many of you have this experience. Many of you probably don't know the sort of experience of this, but I want to actually illustrate what it's like doing research, and there's two kinds of researchers. Often there's one person that does, like, a lot of theory building, that's a lot of writing, that's hard to do. A lot of people doing data analysis, and that's hard to do. And I kind of do in the middle, I would say. I'm kind of in the middle ground. And the challenge with this is sort of having this conversation with people on both sides of what you are doing and talking about what you're doing, because theorists, they do not get this. They just think it's the data will just jump out at you, the answer will just jump out at you really simply. The data sets I work with are incredibly messy. That's part of the inspiration. That's actually a huge inspiration why I started building the Reciprocity Project, was to clean some of this data in a manageable way. That there is just a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people just don't understand. So that's one side. But then on the other side, the sort of theory side of things, I think, like, purely empirical, people don't realize how tricky it is to get that language just right, and sort of talk about this. But it's incredible. incredibly frustrating for me to be sort of stuck in the middle. I would say that I'm probably not, good at either one of them. But, I just try to do the, I get up and go for and get up to bat, and I try to swing at the bat, and often I sort of miss the mark. But I just keep trying with this, and I keep pushing forward. So the data analysis, my task is to find these one or two characters that are throwing it off. I wish that there was a better way of doing this other than, identifying that there's sort of a problematic area in the data set, and then just trying to look for it. With that large of a data set, it becomes tricky to do anything, even if you're using really fast software and things like that and fast computers. It's just hard to find anything. When you're in the sort of what the traditional people look at with statistics is they look at 100 observations, 200 observations, something like that. But when you're looking at millions and millions and billions of characters, it's pretty tough, and it's pretty unwieldy to sort of make sense of these things. And I just wanted to sort of point that out, and how challenging it is to do some of these things. I'm not complaining. It's a really fun thing, and incredibly frustrating. But, it's fun to find these problems and to solve it. But, part of the challenge as a researcher is knowing how much time you should allocate to sort of finding these things. For the most part, I think most people sort of don't spend that much time trying to find these things, and I think that's problematic. They get some problematic data, they just delete it. I might end up doing that. If I can't find it, I might just delete the observations if I can't find the issue. But I think it's worthwhile to spend some time looking into it and doing some data cleaning. Most people don't do these kind of things. They don't understand all of this, all of the challenges that go into it. I do get frustrated with that. It's one thing I do get frustrated, but there's no alternative, right? Like, it is tricky to look at this data, and I just have to assume that I just have to keep working at it and pushing it out, or else nobody else is going to do it. So with that, I just wanted to say, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next go round. I just wanted to share some of the trials and tribulations of doing this large quantitative data analysis. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.